Whelen employees stunned as they learn they are out of jobs. Now on Thursday.
Did Gamber Johnson, Havis, Federal Signal Corporation, Jotto Desk, Troy Manufacturing, Feniex Industries, Soundoff Signal, Code 3 Public Safety, hiviz Firetech Lighting, Setina Manufacturing, Progard, Lund Industries, Tomar Electronics lay off anyone in 2021? Artificial intelligence examines data on the 6-year anniversary of the great COVID layoff. Please like, share, and subscribe. When Whelen Engineering announced the elimination of 246 jobs in July 2020, President and CEO George W. Whelen V attributed the decision to a singular, undeniable force: COVID-19. The pandemic had created significant financial constraints and has resulted in a reduction in our product demand, he stated, framing the layoffs as a painful but necessary measure to preserve our ability to rebuild when this recession is over. News reports echoed this narrative, describing the cuts as the pandemic's latest economic victim. Yet, viewed through the lens of employee accounts and subsequent company behavior, this rationale appears less like an unavoidable reality and more like a strategic choice dressed in crisis rhetoric. The most significant challenge to Whelen's public explanation comes not from competitors or analysts, but from the company's own former employees. Multiple reviews on Glassdoor, a platform for anonymous workplace feedback, directly contradict the notion of prolonged financial distress. One employee stated flatly that workers were laid off under the guise that the company was under financial duress due to COVID, yet a few weeks after the layoff, business was booming. This account raises an uncomfortable question. If demand collapsed, how did it recover so swiftly that booming business followed within weeks? The implication is either that management misjudged the duration of the downturn or, more troublingly, that the financial constraints were exaggerated to justify a workforce reduction that served other purposes. Further eroding the credibility of the last resort framing is the company's post-layoff behavior. According to employees, those who remained were subjected to mandatory overtime that grew to unhealthy levels. If demand was truly depressed, why the need for excessive overtime? The logical explanation is that the company overcut, eliminating more positions than necessary, and then extracted maximum productivity from a depleted, overworked workforce rather than rehiring. This pattern suggests the layoffs were not about survival but about streamlining, reducing labor costs permanently to improve margins, with employee well-being treated as an afterthought. Management's own language betrays this underlying motive. In addition to citing COVID-19, the company acknowledged that the job cuts were part of streamlining operations to ensure more rapid innovation and efficiency. This is not the language of a distressed company fighting for survival. It is the language of corporate restructuring, where workforce reduction is a tool for long-term profitability, not a response to immediate crisis. The historical context strengthens this critique. Municipal budgets, Whelen's core customer base, were indeed under pressure in mid-2020. But this pressure did not uniformly devastate the public safety equipment sector. Other manufacturers in similar markets did not announce comparable layoffs, suggesting that Whelen's response was a matter of management philosophy, not industry necessity. Ultimately, the evidence points to a conclusion that is difficult to reconcile with Whelen's public narrative. The layoffs of July 2020 were not an unavoidable consequence of an exogenous shock. They were a discretionary management decision, one enabled by a pandemic, but driven by a corporate culture that, as employees consistently report, views workers as disposable numbers rather than valued contributors. George Whelen V's statement may have been accurate in describing financial constraints, but it was misleading in its implication of inevitability. The truth is simpler and more uncomfortable. The company chose to cut workers because it could, not because it had to.
So third generation family business. So we're proud of that, and we like to think of it as one big family here at Whelen.